would like the ship to go. Now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discussing Trek. I'm your host, Clarence, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host / Trekkies, starting with none other than Cal Jones. How you doing, sir?
You know what? It's been a minute. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a star date, even though I don't know what a star date is, but I know in 2025 times it has been a minute. But I'm glad to be back. But I want to know, how are you doing?
To that I say, who knows what a star date actually is? I don't know. But anyway, I'm doing well, man. Glad to be on as always. And also on the show, we have none other than Larry Irby. Larry, how you doing, sir?
Doing great.
We are here to talk about the much heralded, shamed, I don't know, whichever one you want to pick, Section 31 movie. Man, if you look anywhere around the internet, you'll see that this movie has just been getting raked over the freaking coals. So, of course, we're here to talk about Section 31, in which Philippa Georgiou joins the secret division of Starfleet tasked with protecting the United Federation of Planets and must face her sins of her past.
So for anyone listening or watching or listening or watching or whatever you might do in Section 31, we still don't know, but put us on pause. Go out, watch this movie, come back, because from this moment forward, spoilers.
Spoilers.
Red alert. All hands stand to battle station.
What gives you the right? You cannot destroy an idea.
At ease before you spray it.
No, that could spoil the milk.
The spoiler warning has been dropped, and we're back to review the Section 31 movie, a streaming movie for Paramount Plus. And like always, we go right back to Mr. Jones for the beats of the episode, sometimes serious, sometimes comedic. Honestly, you never know. Mr. Jones, what do you have for us today, sir?
So I would say, I don't know really what I want to say. I keep going back. I keep going back and forth, but I'm just going to come to the, cut it as dry and to the bone as I can. It's not worthy of Michelle Yeoh.
Boy. Whew, it hurts, man. It hurts. We're going to get the high level views, but let me get the tail of the tape real quick. This, of course, the Section 31 movie was directed by Olatunde Asansame and was written by Craig Sweeney with help from Bo Young Kim and Eric Leopold. And stars, of course, as Cal just mentioned, Michelle Yeoh, along with others, Amari Hardwick of Power fame, and also Sam Richardson, who's been on a lot of stuff, comedic actor. So, guys, let's just get the high level views of this episode and Larry of this movie, and Larry, and what would you say is your thoughts on Section 31?
All right. First of all, I'm going to say it pains me that I didn't like this movie because, there are a lot of people who don't even watch Star Trek. They don't even pay attention to it, but they jumped on it when they heard this movie got negative reviews and they're posting all their reviews about how this is rock bottom for Star. It's like, bro, you don't even care about Star Trek. You just jumping on the bandwagon. That said, this is what happens when you take a series and break it down, turn it into a movie, which has happened before. You just compress everything, and it was a hot mess.
Mm. I think, Larry, you hit on something because I'm getting deja vu when you said that of the Inhumans TV series that was supposed to be a movie, and it's in the opposite direction. And you took intent of a movie and tried to make it into a series, and it failed spectacularly. And, I think that's kind of what I felt like happened here. You had some ideas. You had a star. You didn't do the star justice, in my opinion. And the idea of what I would have expected this movie to have been, it's almost like I feel like you taped the title of the movie on to get people to watch it, and you wound up seeing something else.
True.
Clarence?
Real unfortunate. And for my thoughts, I want to read back what I wrote on Tasha's Discord, in which I said, I don't hate it, but it felt small, a totally different vibe, and very, very cliche. It would have been more fitting to couch this as a reoccurring miniseries, sort of like maybe a True Detective, but just have like kind of an arc for this, the 3 or 4 episodes that we have each time they want to bring it back. I think it would have been really good if they would have did something like that. it felt like there were only a few set pieces and a very, very small amount of actual actors in the entirety of the movie. It seemed like it was less than 10 actors. I know there's a lot in the space station, but as far as people on screen that are talking, it was very, very few. And I also think they hugely missed the mark with the humor. The humor never felt right to me. It was off. And, I just felt like it was, like you said, Cal, very sad that they would, make this a tentpole movie for Michelle Yeoh on the streaming service. It was very unfortunate. Larry, I don't know who said it, which one of you guys said it, but I want to go back to the idea of this should have been a TV show. What about this feels like or tells you this? Do we know that on a meta level? Do we know that this was supposed to be a series rather than a movie? I believe
it. Yeah, I read that it was supposed to be, but they turned it to a movie because of when they were originally doing it was during COVID and, due to restrictions there, then they just merged it into a movie.
Yeah, I know we was originally supposed to have Shazad Latif in the Section 31 series as well. But, for me, it was just so many things about this that just didn't feel movie worthy. Again, like if we wanted to do it as like a short miniseries or something, a la 90s, 80s, the 3-episode miniseries or something like that, I think it may have worked. But there was just not a lot going on. And what did go on in this movie, I just felt like it was neither Trekkie nor fun for the most part. It definitely had its parts, but for the most part.
But you know what? It may not have been Trekkie, but it was tropey. It's like they went into the bag of tropes and pulled out every single trope that you could pretty much, you said cliches earlier. Yeah. I'm going to, interchange it, same thing, means same thing with the tropes, but it felt like that's what they did.
Oh man, I was shaking my head so much. Larry, do you think they just did not give any respect to their audience as far as how they told the story? We get the flashback at the very beginning, which I thought was a good flashback, but so much of this movie was so blatantly telegraphed that it takes away sort of the fun and mystery of the movie. When we see the suited man when he first appears, I think in the back of my head, I kind of knew who it was already. And I think maybe a lot of other people, but so much about this movie just felt so cliche, so done before and not really innovative in any way.
Well, here's the thing about a lot of things in this movie. A lot of the things were rushed. Like we said, it was supposed to be a show. So you were supposed to meet these characters. If these characters were as they are now, we know that talking to Lee, Shackelford, a show can go from its conception to the time of filming. It can go through multiple changes and rewrites and reworks. But you were supposed to get to know these characters over a series. Like we're going to talk about this person, we're going to talk about Quasi, then we're going to talk about Zed, then we're going to let you meet young Rachel. And Rachel did not even need to be in this. That just felt like you were sticking a character whose name we knew in this. Like, oh, hey, guess what? Rachel Garrett is in this. It's like, and the timeline doesn't work unless we're saying they're traveling from their 23rd century into the other universe's 24th century, right?
Yeah, it didn't work.
Doesn't work on so many levels. And like I say, it pains me to say that.
Well, let's stick on the Rachel Garrett part for just a second here. When I first heard that she was going to be in this series, I was kind of excited about it. But as we get into this series and we see that it's firmly couched, I'm thinking a bit later than what we saw before Discovery went in the future. It had to be somewhere around that time because we show her friend San, or her former friend San, from the Mirror Universe. So that kind of what tethers it to that time. if not for that, I think we could have said, okay, maybe she came back in a time that was a little bit closer to the Enterprise C being around. But the fact that it's tied to sand in the mirror universe, there's no way, or at least they didn't explain how that time jump can actually work. So yeah, having Rachel Garrett, while I think it's a nod to the fans in a way, it just did not work. And also to have her in such an incompetent manner in this series, it just like, no, you just threw away that character. And I think of it in contrast to what Picard season 3 did by bringing some of those characters back. I think they respected the character much, much more, even though, spoiler alert, some of them didn't make it. I still think they respected the character so much more than, we only see Rachel Garrett for one episode, yesterday's Enterprise. We get a mention of her in Picard as well. But yeah, I just think they didn't respect that character at all, man. Just such a waste.
For someone who enjoys watching Star Trek, but who is not into the lore like the two of you are, because I had read about, hey, they're bringing back a legacy character, so I knew who she was, and I remembered from our reviews having seen her as the story that she was in. I just saw her as the token Starfleet officer that was put in the story. But I agree with you from the point of she doesn't fit into the timeline and all of that. But I just see that she was the cookie cutter. I'm here for Starfleet. But the thing that got me more than anything was listening to you guys over the years and remembering the episodes that I've seen. There's Section 31, this clandestine CIA, Black Ops kind of division type setup that they've got. Not Guardians of the Galaxy.
It doesn't give Guardians of the Galaxy justice at all.
No, it doesn't, but you get my point. It's trying. I've never seen or thought of Section 31 as, oh, let's go try to have fun.
Honestly, for me, I kind of like the idea of assembling this team. I think that is not a bad idea unto itself, because I loved Locke. I loved Amari Hardwick as kind of heading the things for Section 31. I think he was great. But I think we spent, and as you said, Larry, if this would have been a series, we would have got these characters maybe introduced in a little bit more of an elegant fashion. But I think for me, we spent too much time with the team. And that's kind of hard to say when, you want to root for your team and the movie is about them in a lot of ways. But I feel like we spent too much insular time between the team instead of actually doing anything. Because just think, it seemed like a third of the movie was spent on that planet. The rest of it is spent with them just amongst each other. There's very little interaction with the outside world. So to me, it just didn't go anywhere. I think there's great elements about the team. We get the introduction of this nanokin, which I think we might have a problem with. But there were so many things I thought were really cool, but they just kind of didn't gel. Thoughts on the team aspect of it all? Any of you guys have any thoughts on that?
I felt the team aspect, you always want to build a team, okay? Just like we did on Star Trek Picard, the first season. You're always going to build a team to work together. That's just a natural part of a TV show. But the problem is it didn't gel because, number one, I'll tell you what I did like. I love the fact that the one character who was the head that Amari played, I love the fact that he was, in all essence, from Khan's era.
Yeah, I think that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. We didn't do anything with it. But it was cool because you're like, okay, he's from one of the other augments, maybe one of the augments from somewhere else, another part of the planet. Maybe they all fled into space after they were, good stuff. Again, didn't do anything with it. Fozzie's character was just annoying the entire time. So
you say Quasi or Fuzz?
Fuzz. Fuzz's character was just annoying. And that could have been something really cool had you treated it with more respect. No, not the humor. You know, the idea is good, but the execution was bad. So,
the idea, I mean, the idea is brilliant, totally good. But you're right that it reminded me of a certain person that we know that is on podcast with Clarence that sometimes likes to make his own funny jokes and runs them into the ground. That's what it reminded me of. Some of the times I won't let let go of a bone or something and just keep running it into the ground. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, and that goes back to me. Another thing that just was cliche about the entire movie was the jokes were just so cheesy and so 30 years ago. Like I could have wrote these jokes. You know, it you know, one of my pet peeves. I wouldn't say a pet peeve. Like one of the things I don't really like in movies, and when you have two characters that are bickering and it's just mass confusion. So to me, if you're going to have bickering in a show, it really has to be really great actors. It has to be a really great tone that makes that work. And to me, it just didn't work to have all this, because they always had something to say. You had 4 or 5 people trying to talk at once. I felt like it was an episode of The Bear, you know, and I love The Bear, by the way, but they were just, you know, going at each other, jabbing, you know, and taunting. And I felt like it really just started to grate on me after a while. And if you want to say Hulk smash, Zelf was so Hulk smashy and so dumb. It's like, but
isn't that cliche?
It's cliche.
Yes.
But this is Star Trek. We've moved beyond that. We purposely don't have dumb brutes that all they can do is smash in Star Trek. Everybody has a monochrome. They have a bit of intelligence. And Zelf was just, he may have been the furthest thing from Star Trek I've seen in this show, because there was nothing intelligent or interesting about his character.
And see, you know, I'll give you something that would have made his character incredibly interesting to have been, as you're saying, he's coming out as the big, dumb, you know, tank, so to speak, is if they would have said, you know, with all of the augments, all of the cybernetics that he's had, it's played with his brain, and his brain is deteriorating the more that he has that, then it would have made him, given him a likable angle. You see what I'm saying? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but they made him dumb and very unlikable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what it felt like.
Well, the actor, now I learned this, I'll give credit to where due, you know, Trek culture. And Sean was talking that the actor had apparently said he created his own backstory for Zeb because he didn't really have one, that he was a person who was injured and could not function without the suit. The suit gave him mobility. I guess maybe like a life support system that enabled him to walk and live life. Again, that would have been something that would have, had they gone with that angle, would have fleshed that character out, and you could have been like, wow.
But while I agree with you, totally 100% agree with you, Larry, that sounds exactly like Darth Vader, and we didn't know all of that in A New Hope, but the way they presented him and the writing and the direction and the editing and all of that presented Darth Vader, and the look of him completely different. Because yes, James Earl Jones has an amazing voice, but it was the look and the stature and whatnot. So to Clarence's point, you could have still had him be cyborg, but made him look different.
Him cool. They should have made him cool. And that's the attitude a lot. You know, even though I didn't like the jokes of Quasi, I thought he was one of the more likable characters from this.
Well, he's a great actor. He's always
true.
He plays. I will say this. I love the actor. Is it Sam Richardson?
Sam Richardson, yes.
I love him in so many things. Everything he's in, he's good. But I got to be honest. He plays the same character all the time. Like, he's always the really lovable, not quite super bright. But even if he is super bright, kind of naive.
Yeah.
But he was one of the bright spots in this movie.
So, if you don't mind, let me ask you guys a question. You know, I think over the years, as we've talked about Section 31, and we've talked about, you know, specifically when we were listening and watching episodes of Discovery, we had, I think, in our mind what we thought Section 31 was going to be. And I'll tell you what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be the story of what happens to Georgiou after she goes through the portal and joins up with Section 31. I thought it was her recruitment after she returns to the past and recruiting in to Section 31. Not she's already been to the past, she's been in Section 31, and now she's off doing her own thing. I didn't expect that.
Well, did they couch it as she's been back with them and she's on the fringes? I thought it was just like she came back from the future and never joined back up with
them.
That's
what I
how
thought
I felt.
It was.
I may have heard it wrong, but I thought it, and again, like I said, I may have heard it wrong. I thought it was she came back, she joined, and then she fell off the grid. And I may be wrong.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, but I guess I'm agreeing with you. I really think that my headcanon was that if she was to go back in the 2250s or thereabouts, that her destiny would be in some sorts to join back up with Section 31 proper and start to do good. But we start the movie and she's not really doing bad, but she's kind of at this shady outpost space station where she just kind of is the running things, you know. I expected so much more, especially when we leave off in Star Trek Discovery with such a profound moment and being given a second chance by the Guardian of Forever to go back and do something great. And we catch up with her and she's running a space station. It was so much of a letdown. And honestly, if we're going to bring this great actor of Michelle Yeoh back to do this, you got to do better than that. You got to make it grander. You got to connect in, Starfleet headquarters or control proper, not just saying control when we pop up a hologram. We got to have some touchstones other than just throwing in Rachel Garrett in there. It felt so small. And to me, even a regular Discovery or any show for that matter episode just feels so much bigger than what this movie felt to me. It's
Absolutely.
It just felt like we had 4 set pieces, 3-4 set pieces, and we're going to do that. That's really what it felt like. And let's take that to pivot a little bit in how the episode was actually shot. I mentioned Star Trek Discovery. Olatunde Asasami has been on a bunch of Star Trek Discovery episodes, kind of being the principal director for a lot of their tentpole episodes. So with this one, I don't know if it was the direction or the editing. Did it get changed a lot once it was, cut up in the editing room? But a lot of the way some of the scenes were staged, i.e. shot, or whatever they did to try to make it more exciting just didn't work for me. We had a lot of camera tilts, pans, zoom in, cheesy zoom ins just to make it more exciting. I don't know, maybe they were trying to make it like a spy movie or something, but for me, it just didn't work. And I'm gonna let you guys talk, but that goes back to so much of this movie to me that could have been better if they would have just stayed with the formula. If they would have switched out the comedic moments for serious Star Trek moments, if they would have just shot it more straightforward instead of all these cheesy camera pans and twists to try to make it more exciting, I think it would have been a better movie, quite frankly.
All right, let me say this real quick, Larry, before I forget it. I agree with you, Clarence. The fight scenes, I want to think about Marvel's Daredevil on Netflix. I remember watching it, and I remember people talking about there weren't a lot of special effects, but it was some of the best fight scenes that you had seen in television because of the way they had edited it and did the hall fight scenes. And I remember watching this, especially when they're fighting on those hover platforms and thinking, and what I wrote down was big budget sci-fi channel. Because it seemed, like you had added a little bit, but everything was so blurry when they were fighting and they were moving, and it was like Discovery looked better than this. Strange New Worlds looked better than this.
Less is more. What did you think about the principle or the photography? How it was shot in this movie, Larry? Any thoughts?
Not really. Not on that. I will say this. My voice thing. I was like, if we talk about all the, what would it be, the things that didn't go anywhere. I thought the film looked fine, but it's like, number one, them coming through the Terran Empire would have already been gone in this timeline if they came straight across. So that's why I said it's confusing. Did they come from across from another time period into this time period? And how would he know where? It was too convenient too.
Yeah.
Everything was convenient. It's like, Kyle, did you see Star Trek, the motion picture, J.J. Abrams?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that you saw that.
Yeah. I've seen all of them.
It wasn't to a comic breakdown where this guy breaks down all movies that I realized that Spock shot Kirk out of his ship. Pretty sure that's against Starfleet regulations. He landed on a planet. On the planet, happened to land by a cave that Spock was at. And they were in walking distance to a starbase where Scotty was. I didn't even think about that. I love Star Trek so much. It wasn't until somebody was making fun of that I actually went, holy crap.
No, it's because the movie was good, so good you didn't.
Yeah, but it was a good movie, but everything was so convenient. This movie, everything they needed to do was right there. Even when Rachel went down and she's hunting through the garbage.
God, so bad. Like, what is this? What are the trash compactor? What are we doing here? Is this Star Wars?
Oh, we gonna find something to blow up something, and then towards the end, not jumping in, but towards the end, going, oh yeah, well that might have not even did what you wanted to do. It's like, so we went through all that for nothing. Giorgio being able to get the God's eye or Godsend, whatever.
Godsend. God's end.
Godsend.
And it's like, okay, we're gonna go in. That would have been awesome. We're gonna sacrifice. Okay, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna admit I've done terrible crap. You're an emperor. You've obviously done terrible crap. Nah, we ain't that.
Yeah,
nope.
At least save it for the next movie or something.
We just chilling.
We're gonna meet back up at the pub and.
Oh well, how are we gonna get to where we're going for our next mission? Oh yeah, the space station is a starship. Just so you know.
Wait, did they say that?
Well, it looked like it took off.
Oh, wow, I didn't even notice that. Maybe I had tuned out by then. But
maybe I was.
but as far as connections to the other shows, I did kind of like the fact that they used God's End to close up the rift, because Kovich told us that at a certain point the universes started expanding away from each other and it was harder to cross. So for me, this was my canon of saying, okay, this is the reason after this why it was so hard to get back and forth to the mirror universe, because after this explosion they started to separate a little bit more and more. So that was my head canon for that. Like, okay, that I actually like that. That makes sense.
And the writers of this show, I want them to know the Empire Crossing, they did that in Star Trek Online like 12 years ago. Just saying.
But see, this is where, Clarence, your writing, if it would have been kicked up a notch, if somebody could have just had a throwaway line that says, now doing this could potentially cause the universes to start, or something.
Yeah.
You don't have to spell it out, but just have that little throwaway line that you as a fan who knows what you know would get that. Casual viewer doesn't mean anything to, but that's good writing. That's what it was missing.
Yeah. Let's dive into the mirror universe for just a bit. I don't know if I ever envisioned the battle to become the Emperor being a Hunger Games style battle between the younglings. I was like, what? Oh, okay. I guess that works. What did you guys think about that Hunger Games aspect of it all?
Ridiculous. Okay, because number one, just like in real life, who is sitting on the throne in England? We know it's not. It's a figurehead position. Who is sitting on the throne in England? It's King Charles. King Charles is not related to the people who were back in the 1500s, who were the kings and queens of England. They don't go back that far because it changes. Monarchs change depending on war. Sometimes you get conquered. Sometimes you're overthrown. The thing in the empire was, we always know that the people who were emperor, like when Hoshi crowned herself as empress, if you have read the books, which aren't canon, but things, down the line, her brethren got, her kids and whatever got overthrown. So by the time you even get to the people Kurt and them met, that's a totally different group of people.
Yeah. I have to agree. I don't see the mirror universe as being so chivalrous as to even hold a competition for who's going to be the next emperor. They're cutthroat. They will kill you if you turn your back the wrong way. Exactly. So why would they have this entire competition that heralds the next great emperor of the Terran Empire? No, they would just take over.
Can I say this? Do. You know what it reminded me of? What they were trying to go for? They were trying to go for Hunger Games and Ender's Game.
Oh yeah,
where you take the kids, and you see which one is the rule, and not exactly the same, but in that it's like, oh yeah, we got all these bloodthirsty Terrans. We all want to be in charge. I'm going to kill Clarence and Kyle to be in charge. No, you know what? Let's just have a bunch of kids and pick one of them to be.
But then we're going to get the bunch of kids and let them. And now we've done all this crap that we've done, and we've gotten to where we've been, and we've kicked butt, and we've backstabbed and whatever. But guess what? We're going to let this 18-year-old now be our emperor and tell us what to do. Really?
And again, I mean, I know they had to do it for what the movie they tried to make or the story they were trying to tell. But are you telling me we went through, I think she left at the end of season 3 seasons of Discovery where we see Georgiou going on a redemption tour very slightly. Even by then, we're still questioning if she's fully changed. But, at the very, very end, we see through this opportunity she had with the Garden of Forever that she actually did change by the end of it. She had her Edith Keeler moment. The newspaper changed. She had a different destiny, a different fate. So you're going to tell me at the beginning of this movie, we're going to go back to me having to think that Emperor is a piece of shit at the very beginning?
Yes.
She killed her family, man. Like, why are you going to take me back to thinking she's a piece of crap at the very beginning of this movie?
Murdered him. I was like, it would have made sense. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, please, go ahead.
It would have made more sense had we done the whole thing where she was the descendant and killed her mother and father and sibling to become empress, like she's a princess, right? Or a princess. And she, I'm going to off my mom, dad, and my brother because I need to be in charge. That would have made more sense.
But see, I don't even think we need that. But what I think they did for Georgiou, for the character of Georgiou, I just think that they were given a character and were told this is the emperor of the mirror universe. And they did not even, whoever was writing, and I'm speaking for people that did a work that I know nothing about except watching it. But I don't think they factored in anything that happened in Discovery. Their edict was, here's a character. She is the empress or the emperor of the mirror universe, and it's bloodthirsty and blah, blah. And they went with it. They did not even consider anything that happened in Discovery. Did she mention Michael Burnham? No. Did she mention any of that? No.
How could we have not one mention of Michael Burnham? I don't know, man. I just think it was a missed opportunity. I think we can put together some smart minds to write a much better Section 31 movie.
They've done better episodes.
And just as your thought of bringing Michelle Yeoh back for this, It's very disappointing. In a year like before this, she was getting she won an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and after this, she's getting nominated for another Oscar for what's the movie, Kyle?
Madame Morrible. She got nominated for Madame Morrible.
Yeah, I think she got nominated for that. Yeah. What's the movie? What's the movie?
Wicked.
Wicked.
Yeah. I mean, I know the two main people got nominated, but
I think I may be wrong on that.
I know the movie got nominated, and Ariana and Cynthia got nominated. So,
but just should thought that she's in such amazing movies, and we're gonna put this stinker up and attach her name to it and put it on our streaming service.
That was a lot of it. It's like we're trying to capitalize on Michelle Yeoh's Oscar. It wouldn't be the first time. Hey, remember Karate Kid 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Hilary Swank won the Oscar for what was it? Boys Don't Cry, and immediately it became, oh, you should see this movie because Hilary Swank was in it.
I didn't hate Karate Kid 3. Movie. I didn't hate it.
I'm not saying it was a bad movie, but they just put all of a sudden it's Hilary Swank, Academy Award winner, Karate Kid 3. It's like, really?
And then we I can't even. It's funny because guys that shut me down here because I could rant all day. I can't even fault the movie for where it did spend the budget. It looked good. The special effects were really good. But how can you have all these expensive special effects and still the movie feels so small in my opinion? So I don't know, man.
So answer me this. Do you guys think that would you have liked it better had it been without Giorgio and not called Section 31 and still had the same, well, you couldn't have the story because it's centered around Giorgio and to some degree. Okay, you just had some random captain from the Mirror Universe and their second in command or something, not having it Giorgio and not calling it Section 31. And maybe they called it Mirror or something. I don't know, but you get my point.
You know what? My idea is that my idea always has been for these Section 31 movies or whatever we're going to do with the Section 31 property. I want a ragtag team that travels through time and fixes ish. It could be just the same idea of it that they have here, a team, but couch it in big Star Trek events that we kind of know already. Like they did this sort of like what's the Star Wars movie where we Rogue One, something like that, where we on the fringe of a big event in Star Trek.
Skeleton Crew was excellent. It's like, hey, we're in the Star Wars universe. This kind of has nothing to do with anything else, but it kind of is on the outskirts, which it was good.
That's two sides of a coin, man, because this is kind of the same thing. It has nothing to do with anything other than the Mirror Universe closing up probably. But by the same token, it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
Well, I got to bring up my boy, though. I got to bring up Virgil from Sharon, half black, half white. People were online. They were more mad about that than they were the movie. Well, they said, hey, those guys are supposed to be extinct. And I was like, wait a minute now. And I said, wait a minute, I'm going to stand up for this movie on that. Says who? And he goes, well, the original show said that these two guys have been chasing each other for hundreds of years. So they hadn't been home and they had space flight. So how do you know they did? What was to stop some of them from leaving the planet? Because I saw that a lot. People say, oh, this movie's terrible. Oh, and they got a guy from Sharon. They're supposed to be extinct. I'm pretty sure all of them did just stay there and die. The only thing they did on that character I did not particularly care for. The original characters, which is fine to upgrade. The original character, they were half black, half white. They had the same hair color. On this one, they went
the hair,
half,
yeah.
and they it's like, oh, okay, are we doing tile here? What's going on?
Yeah. I thought it was cool. I really, I know people want to complain about anything. There's a lot more to complain about in this movie. That's not the one you should be complaining about.
All right, so you said something. So let's reverse it. You said people are going to, find things to complain about, which is 100% true. We know that. But let's do the opposite. let's tell something that we really like. Let's find something that we really liked about the movie. There has to be something. I'll go first. I'll go first. The character that was the miniature character, the concept, we may not have liked the way they executed it, but the character that was, very, very small, that could basically possess other beings and or objects or whatnot. I think the concept of that, and even the visual of the character, was unique. And it's one of the most memorable things I take away from the movie. So that's my positive. I could give them praise for their originality or the concept of that character. So that's mine.
I'm going to double on that. It was an incredibly original, because didn't the character say something about my kind was around before the Gigantics or whatever came along and will be around long after? And that's true, because you can't even see them. But mine is definitely the lead agent of Section 31. I really love the concept. I wish they'd gone further of him being, he said, I'm not from this time frame either. And he said, I slept a lot of that time. So maybe he was on a ship that wasn't awakened, because it kind of felt like Alex Kurtzman them were kind of sneaking in a little bit of the movie lore. Because, in the movie, when they found Khan, they found him earlier. Yeah. Before it happened in the Prime universe. So maybe somebody else found them later and he was still in cryo. I really enjoyed that character. I really think he had a lot of shame. You could really see for the things he had done as an augment. Yeah. I enjoyed that character.
I think for me, I would have liked I wish I wouldn't have known early on that San was the mysterious character, because I think they could have went so many different ways with that. Because honestly, at first it seemed like a really cool character coming out of the shadows to get this weapon. Like, oh, this but then a few seconds in my head, oh, that's just San. But I really feel like they missed the opportunity for that to be anybody, like literally anybody. And also I'll say this, the thing with Alok, Maury Howard's character, I thought he was going to be a Klingon for a moment. I thought he was going to be a Klingon character. Of course, that wouldn't kind of work being head of Section 31, but I kind of thought they were going just to throw the curveball at us. But yeah, man, oh my God.
They let, what would have been
Go ahead.
They let, what's his name? Shalif's character.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They let him in. They knew he was actually a Klingon.
Yeah, Ash Tyler. Yeah.
Ash.
And maybe that was, honestly, that was supposed to be Ash Tyler. Let's not kid ourselves.
Probably 100%.
Yeah.
You know what would have been a cool twist, and they could have used any actor to wear the suit. If you would not have seen the person that was in the suit until the very end, not have done all that backstory, and you could have done a 10-second reveal and the character gets away, if it would have been the Mirror Universe Michael Burnham.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
That would have been, and you could have just shot her for 10 seconds and that would have been it, but somebody else played it throughout the movie.
They could have blown our freaking minds if that would have been Jason Isaacs coming back somehow. There's so many things they could have done that was better than what they did, man. This was so frustrating.
Kyle, you're brilliant. I'm going to let you know why. Just normally you are.
Thank you, sir.
You don't even know because you don't read the comics and stuff like I do. Michael Burnham is still alive.
Right. Oh, yeah.
In the comic books, the Mirror Michael Burnham. And Giorgio had a kid. It could have been Giorgio's kid because they gave them permission to write those. This team, Alex Kurtzman, them. So Giorgio had a kid. What if it would have been Giorgio's kids? Like, hey, man, you left me behind over there and you just hauled off?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, so much about this just wasn't good. But, we found our good parts in it. We found our good points. And if nothing else, let's go ahead and get ratings for this movie. Larry, so it looks like you want to go first.
No, I don't want to give a rating.
Come on, man.
Come on, you have to.
Putting your feet to the fire. You want me to go first?
Y'all go first. Y'all go first.
I will give this 2.0 God's End out of 5.
I'm going to give this 2.5 manifestoriums out of 5.
All right.
Fair.
That's a memorable nod.
I'm going to give it 2.5. I should have been a miniseries out of 5. But we can say we know that our ratings are from a place of love and not hate.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. It just pains me, man. It pains me. I feel the same way about was the Power 1, the Power 2, the Power Mini. What's the Acolyte?
Yes.
I feel the same way about the Acolyte, man. It should have been so good, but it just didn't hit the mark.
You know, you described one character when you just said the person in the suit, not who, because when we had Ahsoka, there was a character that was in a suit. Everybody was freaking out. Could it be this person? Could it be that person? Could it be this person? Everybody was so pissed because, spoilers for Ahsoka, if you haven't seen it. But and guess who it turned out to be? Nobody. Apparently it was some reanimated person. You never saw who it was.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like,
Yeah.
what?
Very disappointing.
So whoever, and I think we know where that trope started, was that stupid Star Wars movie where, let's end it with it being nobody, and let it be for everybody or whatnot.
Yo, the one we walked out of theaters and just looked at each other like, what the fuck did we just watch?
Which one were you?
The Last Jedi.
Was it The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker?
No, The Last Jedi, when they said Rey was nobody. Rey, you're a nobody. You remember that?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So
Anyway,
back to 31.
all right, guys. Well, let me ask this before we kind of end this thing. Do we think there will be more made for streaming Star Trek movies? I hope not, unless they really do it. But what are you guys' thoughts? Should there be more? That'd be the question we should be asking.
I think the whole movie concept in our day and age, and I'm even meaning on a large scale, is getting played out. I think things are going to. My show Severance just came back. If y'all have not watched that, anybody have not watched Severance, that is one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. I think streaming and going to episodics are going to be the norm, because think you can give so much more. What if we got 10 episodes of this show spread out? It could have been a totally change. Like we might be sitting up here just like, that was
even
awesome.
just 5 or 6 or 3 or 4 or 5 episodes would have been better, I think.
I'm going really, really quick. Larry, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I think it determines the outcome is determined by, the content and the writing and the directing. And I'll give you an example. I don't like musicals. I don't usually get into Broadway. I am a freaking obsessed with Wicked now because of how well it was done. And that's not my genre. And I couldn't have imagined it being a series. You know what I'm saying? It worked as a movie and it worked in the theaters. And so I get your point and I agree with you, but respectfully disagree on some things.
Well, sir, you need to get into musical theater because you're missing out on Chicago. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I've seen Chicago, the movie, but yeah.
Is that not amazing though?
Yeah.
Cats was amazing. Cats was amazing.
Meow.
No, it was terrible. The movie was terrible. Oh yeah, and Jamie Lee Curtis as Control at the very end. Like what? Why?
And why is Control around? But it's Jamie Lee. I'm giving it a pass because we love Jamie Lee.
Are we giving it a pass?
I am. Yes.
Oh, really, really quick before we get going, did this make any sense to you guys? Where they put the chapter names as like coded transmission, and then that just looks so freaking weird to me.
Because they were supposed to be episodes. That's what people were saying. People are literally saying this was them. This is where y'all supposed to be, because it went from series to miniseries to
movie.
Let's jumble it together.
And we all are not better for it. No. All right, guys. Well, let's hope that the next streaming project from Paramount Plus, Star Trek related, will be better. Or, maybe Paramount Plus may not be around in the next few years. Who knows where it goes? But yeah, kind of unfortunate, man. Kind of unfortunate that this was not good at all. I think it's pretty much around the board. Everyone thinks it kind of stunk. It was just sad to say, because I am I love loving things, and usually with Star Trek, it takes a lot for me not to love it. So
a lot.
Yeah. So
but we did find positive things to say about it. So that's one thing.
We did. We hashed it out. We gave it as much as positivity as it deserved, I guess. But with that, guys, we're going to end things off. Thank you all for joining. It has been a lot of fun with you guys on the panel here. And until the next streaming movie, I will be back before then. Live long and prosper.
You've been listening to the Discussing Network. Find out more at discussingnetwork.com.
Can I say that, like, shut up, Wesley? I can just go, shut up, Clarence?